Welcome to today's show. My name is Mossman, your leadership speaker, executive coach, and right here today, I'll be your podcast host. I want to welcome you to today's show. You are listening to Leader Seeds podcast. This is your go-to resource for high impact and healthy leadership principles. Today is a part 2 of a series talking about something I really think should be talked about much more in leadership. And we're calling it Healthy Mind Equals High Impact Leader. Healthy Mind equals high impact leader. Today, we're going to dive in it. Like I said, it's a part 2. So I'm going to cover 4 more points on how you can keep a healthy mind or kind of keep your mind in shape. If you didn't hear the first 4, I want to invite you to go ahead and listen to the podcast right before this, because that's part 1. But before we jump into today's show and to all of the good stuff, let's take a quick moment to listen to the sponsor of today's show. All right, so we're back. Let's jump into today's topic. Let's go right into it. In the middle part, I'm going to give you a few updates, but let's jump right into it because you push play, you're engaging, you're ready to go ahead and see what is the next 4 points that you can go ahead and keep your mind in shape. Before we jump in it, a quick reminder why we're talking about this. You see, your mind as a leader, when you grow in your leadership, there's studies that back this up. I mean, I've learned this from people teaching me this and also from me learning the hard way with a few of these points. As you grow in your leadership, you're going to face bigger decisions, right? You're going to face bigger decisions. You're going to face more complex situations. And if your mind isn't healthy, your bad call or bad decision will affect other people. And the higher you get in your leadership, the more people you affect. So if your heart's in the right place, you don't want to negatively affect people, right? I mean, you definitely don't want to create a toxic environment. And if your mind isn't healthy, even if your intentions is good, that's what you'll create. I've seen it over and over and over. Unfortunately, I've been a part of teams that you see the environment just get really toxic. And for me, that's enough. That's all I needed to convince me that this is absolutely important. Absolutely important. So some of the things I'm going to talk about today, just like in the first 4, they might not be your style. They might not be your thing. But here's it. You don't have to master these. You just have to be much more intentional, and you got to give it more attention. That's it. You don't have to master these steps. You just have to give it more attention. And you'll see even that a little bit of attention, more than you're giving it right now, will actually start to strengthen the health of your mind. So let's jump in it. The first one we're going to talk about today, I got 4 points, like I said. The first one is to eat well. Now, I'm not going to give a diet plan to anyone right now. I'm definitely not going to play the expert in this. I eat pretty well, and I got a rigid diet that I really try to follow. But hey, like I said, I'm not telling you to jump on a special diet. What I am telling you is to be aware of what you eat and what that does to your mind. You see, a lot of times we think our meals just go to our stomach and in our body, and that's it, right? But what kind of foods or what do you eat or drink that kind of gives your mind it's a little foggy? It's hard to think things through. Here's a really accurate, specific situation. Do you notice after lunchtime, if you have a strategic meeting with the team, is there not much happening? Is everyone is kind of at a standstill, like their minds just shut off? It's interesting that everyone's mind shut off when everyone had the meal that was provided, right? We want to be more cautious of what we eat. That's just it. That's what I'll say at this point. Like I said, you don't have to master this. I'm not telling you to get on a full-on crazy intense diet plan. Hey, if you wanna, go for it. But the topic of bringing this up today is because a lot of times we think our meals just go to our body. There is research after research and studies after studies, and there is examples if you need to experience it for yourself. just just take note of what happens to your mind after certain meals or certain drinks that you have. Are you thinking more clearly? Are you able to process things much more smoothly? Do you have brain fatigue? Right? All of these things will contribute to the health or the sickness of your mind. So we want to be cautious of what we're eating and what it's doing to our mind. That's what I'll say at this point. Be cautious of what you eat and what it does to your mind. That's it. That's the first point. Let's go ahead and jump on the second one really quickly. The second one is this. You want to remember the past. That's right. This point surprised me the most. I wouldn't have guessed this to be on the list. It really surprised me. I didn't think that exercising your memory actually contributes to a healthy mind. But studies back it up. When you look at it, actually remembering the past is a great exercise to strengthen your healthy mind. It's about taking time to really say, it's about spending more time on the things that you don't remember right away. You know, sometimes when we grow older, when we think of a situation and we realize, I just can't remember this time and these details, what do? Just scratch it. And we just forget about it and we move on. But if you spend time there, if you stay there a little longer and exercise your memory bank, you'll be surprised to see how healthy it is for your mind. Here's some real life examples. I mean, people that are older in their age and they're maybe in a care home, part of their exercise about memorizing situations that was happening with family or memorizing or even friends, you know, just jogging their memory is actually really good for their mind, very healthy. So rather than waiting for your old age, we can start that now in the process. I want to share you a personal story on how I seen this on the back end. Like when I was doing this, I'll tell you a story about a time that was really close to me, really dear. And after I learned this principle, I thought back to the time, and it was a little emotional. I'm going to tell you the story. So I had a really close relationship with my Grandma Rose. And one thing I remember is she used to really look forward to spending an afternoon with her brother at the grocery store. So she was older and she could drive, but it just wasn't the safest. So I would drive her and her brother to the grocery store. And you know, I was maybe in my teen years or young 20s, and I just had a good relationship with Grandma, and I enjoyed this time. So I turned down other requests or other things that was trying to get my time, because I really like just going ahead, picking her up and picking up her brother and driving to the supermarket. And what would happen is that they both would sit in the back, and I would hear Grandma be a sister. You know, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Like I knew her as Grandma, but I would hear her talking to her brother, and they'd laugh and they'd remember some things and they'd forget some things. And we'd go shopping. And as we shop, we'd find probably like just a bunch of bananas, to be honest. I think that was I think that was the average thing that we'd buy. Like we wouldn't buy a lot of stuff. So there weren't at the grocery store to fill the fridge, right? They were there to spend time with each other. Now I enjoyed that time. And after I learned this principle, I thought back on that time. And I thought how awesome that is when we have a chance to do this with someone else, to talk about memories, to exercise our memory bank, to strengthen our mind. Now, you and I don't know who's listening right now or who's watching this, but we don't have to wait till that time when it's older, right? We can start now, and we can practice this. We can jog our memory and understand if we hit a point that we don't remember, don't shy away from it. Spend a little bit more time. You'll see you're actually exercising your mind. It's a very healthy process. Hey, you might just remember your third grade teacher as you cut the grass, right? Or you might remember your basketball coach in the boardroom. Like you'll have these memories come back. And what's happening is that your mind is exercising, is healthy. So the second point is remember the past. Pretty cool, huh? So before I jump into the last two for today's episode, I want to share with you a few updates. If you haven't heard yet, we do have a one website, which I'm excited about because we had different ways for different things, but this is really easy. It's one website that you can go to, and it's leaderseedspodcast.com. Very easy. leaderseedspodcast.com. If you go to their website, you'll see all of the episodes. You'll see all of the video. You'll even get a chance to see all of the reviews, which is pretty cool. Like you'll see what people are saying about the show and how they rate it. And hey, if you want to leave an honest review, I like to ask that of you because it really helps us to reach more people with high impact and healthy leadership. So go check out the website. You'll see all of the episodes right there, one place, really easy to just kind of keep filling your leadership development tank. Like I said, we want this to be a go-to resource for your high impact and healthy leadership. Now, another update that we have is that on that website, you'll see it there, and you might even see it in video here. A lot of you have been asking different ways that you want to support the show as we grow, right? I want to thank you for your heart in that. I want to thank you for even thinking about that. There's a lot that goes in to growing the podcast so we can reach more people through video, to buying the tech equipment and all that stuff. But let me take a moment to also share the mission behind what we do here. I own a company called Po'okela Chief Development and Leadership Strategies. And this podcast is one way that we provide a resource for hardworking leaders, right? Now, we do webinars, masterminds, staff trainings, executive coaching, keynote speaking. We do different programs and different things to contribute to that industry. But why do we do it? One of our goals, one of our mission, if we want to say, is to fully fund a child development center. So I have contacts at Compassion International, and we're talking with them, and we're seeing what we got to do to put the team together to really go out there and build enough so we can fully fund a child development center. And that's one of the big goals. That's one of the missions. So one way that you can contribute to that, if you ever feel led to, is we have this thing called Buy Me a Coffee. So you can buy us a coffee. What's a coffee? $5. It's like if we're talking, we had coffee and I shared with you some leadership insight, give you some great training, and you picked up the tab. You went in and you paid for the coffee. Kind of same concept, right? But what's cool about here is that coffee, 50% will go to growing the podcast, as we do with, keeping the tech equipment up there and making sure whatever resources we bring in is funded. But also the other 50% will go to the mission. So you'll be helping us if you feel led to with fully funding that child development center. So I want to share that with you really quickly. You might see that right there. And every time somebody buys us a coffee, you'll see something kind of just boom, see it. Look, someone bought you a coffee, new supporter. Thank you so much from the bottom of our heart. Thank you for joining us in the mission, not just to pour into the leadership community, but also to go out there and to pour into the next generation with this child development center. So let's go ahead and get back into the last 2 points for today's show. And I think you'll like these. I think you'll find great value in this. I know I did. And the next one we're going to do is this. Point number 3. If you're writing notes, go ahead, Capture this one. Capture this one. Point number 3 is you want to do something that requires a lot of brain power. You see, you know that your brain has 2 sides, and you know that one side is your strong side, right? One side is more, I'm not going to get into the science of it, but you know that there's one side that does some kind of work and the other side that does another kind of work. I'm going to try to keep this really basic so we don't have to jump into the neuroscience of it. But know this, just because you favor one side, you have a strength. If you only work in that strength, you're only fully utilizing half of the brain. It's like if I have 2 biceps and I'm working out, but my right side is stronger and I'm just going to favor that, right? I want you to think about your brain in that. So with this point, you want to do something that requires a lot of brain power. You want to exercise both sides of the brain. So it might be that you're going to study calculus. You're going to take a moment, you're going to do a fun app on your phone, and you're going to study that. When I say that, some of you kind of cringe because maybe that's not what you want to do. But hey, maybe you're going to learn a new dance routine, a new dance style, right? You see what I'm saying is you want to do something that challenges your mind to not think on autopilot. You'd be surprised how many of our thoughts are just on autopilot. Especially if you've been working the same job or building the same business for multiple years, there's a system, there's a rhythm to your thoughts. And just like anything else, your brain gets used to this rhythm, which is good at some points. But if we're looking to keep it healthy, you want to also throw it a little off at times to strengthen it, because that's how you challenge it, right? So like I said, it could be you do some kind of math problem because you like that stuff, but you haven't done it for a while and you're exercising your brain power. Maybe you like the arts and you're going ahead and you're learning a new dance routine. Or here's something I've seen very recently. A lot of people have been doing that color, adult kind of color, the color book for adults. Yeah. That might be your thing. Like I said, don't judge what I'm telling you. I'm trying to give you examples to exercise your thinking right now, to say, how do I get off of autopilot with my thinking so I can build my brain power? Follow me? Awesome. Here's the last point. Here we go. Last point is this. You want to get out and socialize. You want to get on and talk to people. You don't want to isolate so much. This is important. This is very important. This is our last point, but this might be one of the most important ones, because as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you run a very high chance to loneliness. The higher you get, the more you build, the more you grow, the more lonely you can feel. And it's easy to isolate and be by ourselves a lot. And though part of that is healthy, we don't want to live in that. Right? You don't want to always have that to be your go-to, because you actually have a healthier mind by being with people and socializing. So it might not be that the people at work, because it's different, right? You're their leader, you're their boss. So find a healthy circle, find a healthy network, find a healthy group of people, maybe other executives or other leaders where you can see peer-to-peer leadership. But it's really important to get out and socialize, super important. Remember the story I told you about grandma? I take you to grandma to go shopping with her brother. Yeah, 2 things was happening. They were jogging their memory, but they were getting out and socializing. So make sure you get out and socialize. Don't just sit in your office desk all day long. Don't just sit in the boardroom, or don't just sit in, the ivory white castle. Hey, you may not want to do that, but sometimes by default with the role, we end up doing that quite a bit, right? I've been victim to it. You may have also. But we want to be, that's why I'm sharing this, because we don't want to be victim to that just because of the situation. You want to make sure that, hey, I'm being intentional by going out and socializing with my peers, so I don't have to feel like I can't say anything, I can't be myself, right? It's very healthy for your mind, very healthy for your mind. Here's the best part. When you actually go out there and you start to pour into your social life, you'll actually start to enjoy life much more. That's healthy for your mind. So let's go ahead and wrap things up today. As we see, there are many benefits to keeping your mind in tip-top condition. A healthy mind helps you in your leadership to actually go out there and make well-informed decisions, not make emotional decisions, but make well-informed, thought-through decisions, right? When you do that, it's not about making everyone happy, but it is about creating a healthy environment. No decision you make will make everyone happy. But when you're intentional by keeping your mind in shape and building a healthy mind, you know that the environment you create can always be a healthy environment. Your brain is actually highly elastic. Give it a chance to use that ability. Thanks for joining us on today's episode. I'd love to hear anything that stood out, or anything even more so that you are going to implement in today's with the points that I gave today and the other, maybe the first four. But go ahead, reach out. I love hearing directly from you guys. The best way is look in the show notes, or if you're watching the video, look on the notes below, and you'll see ways to contact me through Instagram. If you go to the website, like I mentioned, there'll be ways to contact me there. And let's stay in contact. I'd love to hear what's resonating, what you're implementing, and how you're growing as a high impact and healthy leader. Join us on the next show. But for now, go out there and implement, take action. I'll see you guys on the next show.